If a man acts like this, it means they miss you all day. But here's what nobody tells you. The men who miss you most aren't the ones texting, "I miss you" every 5 minutes. They're not the ones posting about you or making it obvious to everyone around them. The real signs that you're consuming someone's thoughts while you're apart, they're quieter, they're deeper. And if you're looking in the wrong places, you'll completely miss them. Here's what's messed up. We've been taught that missing someone looks a certain way, that it comes with constant messages and dramatic declarations, that if he's not saying it directly, he's probably not feeling it. But that's not how men process absence. That's not how they handle the feeling of wanting someone who isn't there. And that gap between what we expect to see and what's actually happening, that's where all the confusion lives. This isn't about making excuses for men who don't show up. It's about showing you the actual difference between a man who barely notices you're gone and a man who feels your absence in everything he does. Today, we're breaking down the exact behaviors that reveal when a man genuinely misses you throughout his day. Not surface level loneliness, not just wanting attention from anyone, but the specific kind of missing that means you've created a space in his life that nobody else can fill. If you've ever wondered whether he actually misses you when you're not around, if you've felt unsure about whether your absence even registers with him, if you've been confused by how he acts when you're together versus when you're apart, this is the video that's going to change how you see everything. Let's get real, let's get clear, and let's talk about what it actually looks like when a man misses you all day. Because the signs are showing up, you just need to know what they mean. Let's begin. You know that feeling you're not sure if you matter to someone when you're not physically there. When you wonder if out of sight really does mean out of mind. Here's what most people get wrong. A man missing you isn't about how many times he says the words. It's about what he does with that feeling. And those actions, they tell you everything about whether you're just someone he likes having around or someone whose absence actually affects him. Here's the truth. When a man genuinely misses you throughout his day, his behavior shifts in specific ways. It's not random. It's not unpredictable. There are clear patterns that show up when someone is walking around with the feeling of wanting you there. Within the first few times of being apart from someone who really misses you, you'll start seeing it, the way he tries to close the distance, the way he creates connection even when you're separated, the way his energy changes the moment he gets access to you again. But here's where it gets complicated. A man can like you and not miss you when you're gone. He can enjoy your company and then forget about you 10 minutes after you leave. The difference between someone who's fine without you and someone who genuinely feels your absence, it's huge. And if you can't tell the difference, you'll end up feeling insecure about someone who's already showing you through his actions that you don't really matter when you're not there. Now let's talk about what's going on inside his head. When a man meets a woman who creates a real impact, being away from her doesn't feel neutral. It feels like something's missing. That feeling, it doesn't just sit there quietly. It pushes him to action, not desperate action, not needy action, but consistent efforts to bridge the gap between being apart and being together. That impulse, that's what separates genuine missing from casual interest. Men don't feel genuine longing for women who are interchangeable. They feel it for women who've made them feel something specific, something they can't get anywhere else. That emotional signature, that's what creates the ache of missing someone. Not just wanting company, not just wanting physical connection, but wanting that specific person because nobody else hits the same way. And when a man feels that, his behavior makes it obvious. If you're tired of wondering whether you cross his mind when you're not around, stop listening to words and start watching what he does in your absence. Because real missing doesn't need to be explained. It shows up in action, in consistency, in the way he makes sure the distance between you doesn't last longer than it has to. Let's keep going. You're about to learn the exact signs that prove you're the person he's missing all day long. Let's break down the specific behaviors that show up when a man genuinely misses you throughout his day. Because the difference between someone who's barely affected by your absence and someone who feels it constantly, it's not subtle once you understand what to look for. The first major sign is this: he creates reasons to connect that have nothing to do with logistics. He's not just texting to confirm plans or ask a practical question. He's reaching out because something made him think of you and he wanted to share it. A song he heard, something funny that happened, a random memory. These aren't calculated moves to keep you interested. They're natural impulses that happen when someone is walking around missing you. He experiences something and his immediate thought is wanting you to be part of it. That's not strategy. That's genuine missing. And here's what's powerful about this. It's not about how often. It's about the quality of the connection. A man who misses you doesn't need to text you 20 times a day. But when he does reach out, you feel the warmth behind it. There's genuine energy there. He's not just checking a box. He's actually trying to close the gap that your absence created. Next, watch how he responds when you do connect. When a man has been missing you, his reaction to hearing from you or seeing you is immediate and positive. There's no playing it cool. There's no delayed response to seem busy. He's genuinely happy to have access to you again because that's what he's been wanting. You'll notice his whole energy shifts. He becomes more engaged, more present, more alive. That's not an act. That's someone who's been carrying the feeling of your absence and now gets relief from it. Another clear indicator is how he talks about the next time he'll see you. It's not vague. It's not distant. When a man is missing you, he needs to know when he'll have you in front of him again. So he makes concrete plans. He pins down specific times. He doesn't leave it open-ended because living with indefinite separation when you're missing someone feels terrible. Making plans isn't just about spending time together. It's about ending the discomfort of not knowing when this feeling of missing you will stop. Here's a big one. He remembers details about what's happening in your life and follows up on them. If you mention something important coming up, he checks in about it. If you told him about a situation you were dealing with, he asks how it went. When someone misses you, they're not just thinking about you in a general sense. They're thinking about your actual life, what you're doing, what you're experiencing, what matters to you. And let's talk about how he protects your connection while you're apart. If other women show interest, he doesn't entertain it. He's not keeping options open because when you're genuinely missing someone specific, other options don't register as valuable. He makes it clear through his actions that his attention isn't available because it's already directed at you. Another powerful sign is in how he talks to you when you finally connect. There's depth to the conversation. He's not just making small talk. He actually wants to know what's been going on with you. He's curious about your experiences while you were apart. He wants to understand what you've been thinking and feeling. This isn't just conversation to fill time. This is someone who's been carrying questions about you and now gets to actually ask them. Here's something that really reveals the truth. Watch what he does to shorten the distance when possible. If there's an opportunity to see you sooner, he takes it. If he can change his schedule to spend time with you, he does. When someone is missing you, any chance to be physically present instead of just mentally present feels valuable. He's not making excuses about being busy. He's finding ways to make it work because seeing you stops the ache of missing you. Notice how he makes you feel when you are together after time apart. There's an intensity to his presence. His focus is completely on you. He's not distracted by his phone or these inking about other things. This is what he's been wanting, to actually be with you. So when it finally happens, he's fully there. And most importantly, there's consistency in all of this. It's not just once or twice. It's a pattern. When a man genuinely misses you throughout his days, these behaviors become his normal way of operating. You don't have to wonder if he's thinking about you. You don't have to question if your absence matters. The evidence is constant and clear. If you're seeing these signs, you're not just someone he casually likes. You're someone whose absence he feels. Coming up next, we're going to talk about why some women get missed like this while others don't. So now you might be wondering, why do some women get missed constantly while others barely register once they're gone? Here's what people get wrong. It's not about being the most attractive person he's ever met. It's not about playing games or being unavailable on purpose. When a woman genuinely gets missed throughout a man's day, it's because of the experience she creates. Not just how she looks, but how being around her feels compared to not being around her. Let me break this down. Men miss women who make their lives feel different in a specific way. Better, more interesting, more alive. When you create that kind of shift, your absence becomes noticeable because suddenly that feeling is gone. It's not that he can't function without you. It's that functioning without you feels less enjoyable than functioning with you. That comparison, that's what creates the experience of missing someone. Here's what's powerful about this. You don't have to be perfect to create that impact. You just have to be genuinely yourself in a way that adds something real to his experience. The women who get missed are the ones who show up as whole people. They have their own energy, their own interests, their own lives that don't revolve around him. That independence makes the time he does get with her feel valuable because it's not guaranteed. Another key factor is emotional safety. When a woman makes a man feel like he can actually be himself around her, like he doesn't have to perform or pretend, that feeling becomes something he craves. Most men spend their days in environments where they have to be a certain way. But if you create space where he can drop that, where he can just exist as he actually is, being away from you means being away from that relief. But here's where it gets even more real. A man misses a woman when she doesn't need him, but genuinely enjoys him. That balance is everything. When you're not desperate for his presence, but you clearly value it when you have it, it creates a dynamic where he wants more of your time. He's not taking you for granted because you're not constantly available. But he's also not confused about whether you care because you show warmth when you're together. Now let's talk about what doesn't make you missable. Being overly available, always being the one to reach out first, dropping everything whenever he has time for you. That doesn't create the conditions for missing someone. It creates comfort, and comfort is nice, but it doesn't generate longing. When someone knows they can have your attention anytime without effort, there's nothing to miss. Here's what matters. Men miss women who create emotional experiences that feel unique to them. When being with you creates feelings he doesn't get elsewhere, your absence means those feeling GS are gone too. That's what drives the missing. It's not just that you're gone, it's that what you bring is gone. And here's something deeper. When a woman has clear standards, when she's willing to walk away from anything that doesn't meet them, that creates respect. And respect mixed with genuine affection is what makes a man unable to stop missing someone when they're apart. He's not just physically attracted, he's emotionally invested because he recognizes that having access to you is something earned, not guaranteed. So ask yourself this, are you showing up in a way that creates real impact, or are you trying to make someone miss you by being constantly available? Because the truth is, you can't force someone to miss you. But you can create the conditions for it by being someone who adds something to their life that they can't find anywhere else. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the signs that he's not actually missing you. Let's talk about it. Let's be real about something that's hard to hear. Sometimes men say they miss you without actually feeling it. And if you don't know how to spot the difference between words and reality, you'll end up believing promises while ignoring proof. So let's break down the signs that show he's not really missing you when you're apart. The first clear sign is inconsistent contact with no explanation. 1 week you hear from him regularly, the next, radio silence. And when he finally shows up again, there's no acknowledgement of the gap. When someone genuinely misses you, those long stretches of zero contact don't happen. Because if you're on his mind and he's feeling your absence, he naturally wants to connect. Next sign, he only reaches out when it's convenient for his schedule. If the only time you hear from him is late at night or when his plans fell through, that's not someone missing you. That's someone using you to fill empty space in his day. Real missing doesn't operate on a convenient schedule. Another major indicator is that conversations stay shallow. He's not asking real questions about your life. He's not checking in on things that matter to you. When a man misses someone, he wants to know them. He wants to understand them. If that curiosity is missing, it's because he's not actually spending time thinking about you when you're not around. Here's a big one. He makes vague references to getting together, but never commits to concrete plans. We should hang out soon. But there's no actual day, no actual time. When someone is genuinely missing you, they need to know when they'll see you next. They make real plans because ending the separation is important to them. You'll also notice he doesn't integrate you into his life. You haven't met his friends. His family doesn't know about you. When someone misses you throughout their day, they naturally want you to be part of their actual life. The fact that you're kept isolated tells you he's not thinking about you as someone significant. Another telling sign is how he responds when you express a need or concern. If you tell him something matters to you and he dismisses it, that's not someone who values your emotional world. When you genuinely miss someone, you care about their feelings. If your emotions are treated as inconvenient, it's because you're not important enough to him. Here's what really shows the truth. Pay attention to what happens when you create distance. If you stop initiating, stop reaching out, does anything change? Does he notice? Does he step up? Or does the connection just fade? When someone I misses you, your absence gets noticed and addressed. And let's talk about how he makes you feel overall. If you're constantly anxious about where you stand, if you're always questioning whether he cares, that's not your gut lying to you. When a man genuinely misses you, you feel secure about it. You feel valued. The confusion you're experiencing isn't overthinking. It's your intuition picking up on the fact that his behavior doesn't match genuine longing. So if you're seeing these patterns, here's what you need to hear. It's not that you're not enough. It's that this specific person isn't emotionally invested the way you deserve. You deserve someone who doesn't just say they miss you. You deserve someone who shows through consistent action that your absence is something they actually feel. In the next section, we're going to talk about what to do if you realize you're not being missed the way you thought. Let's talk about how. So let's say you're recognizing that maybe you haven't been missed the way you hoped. Maybe the signs aren't there. Maybe you've been giving more energy than you're getting back. And now you're asking, what do I actually do with this information? Here's the reality. Knowing where you truly stand gives you power. Real power. Because now you can make decisions based on what's actually happening instead of what you wish was happening. First, you need to accept the situation as it is, not as you want it to be. A man who isn't missing you now won't suddenly start just because you try harder or give more. Missing someone doesn't work that way. You can't convince someone to feel your absence. Either they do or they don't. And if they don't, it's not a statement about your worth. It's just a mismatch of emotional investment. So what's the first move? Pull back your energy, not to manipulate him, not to play games, but to realign your investment with reality. If he's not missing you when you're gone, then you need to stop obsessing over him when he's not around. Stop being the one who always initiates. Create actual space for him to either show up or show you exactly who he is. And here's what often happens in that space. One of two things. Either he notices your absence and steps up, which tells you his interest is real, or he doesn't notice at all, which also tells you something important. Both outcomes give you clarity, and clarity is what allows you to make real decisions. Next, redirect your focus back to your own life. When you're constantly thinking about whether someone is missing you, you're giving away mental and emotional energy to someone who isn't matching it. Take that energy back. Pour it into yourself, your goals, your friendships, your interests. When you become genuinely engaged with your own world, something shifts. You stop needing validation from someone else to feel valuable. Here's the truth. The women who get missed constantly are the ones who aren't sitting around waiting to be missed. They're living full, interesting lives that naturally make people want access to them. So if you want to be someone who occupies mental space when you're not around, you first need to occupy your own mental space with things that actually matter to you. Another important shift is raising your standards. Decide what you will and won't accept in terms of effort, consistency, and emotional investment. And then actually hold that line. When you have real standards, you stop tolerating low effort. You stop making excuses for inconsistent behavior. And that boundary protects you from wasting time on people who were never serious about you. Now, here's something key. Learn to recognize genuine interest quickly. Don't wait months to figure out if someone is actually invested.